Hey everybody, how you doing? Well, I know you haven't seen me in a few days. I've been waiting for you to go ahead and make sure you digest all the information you've been given. Ashley's been doing some videos. I've been doing a lot of virtual online lessons, so I now wanted to go ahead and go over a couple of things that I wanted to talk to you about in regards to turns and rotation. I get this question a lot because I have a basis for all turns, and that is you either doing an inside turn or an outside turn. How to understand that is my foot, okay? I'm either going to be turning to the inside of my foot or the outside of my foot. This is just a simple way for me to understand the technique that is needed for each type of these turns. So wherever my big toe is, that's the inside of my foot or the inside of my leg. Pinky toe, outside of my foot, okay? So same thing is the direction. Those are just for directions, okay? It changes when I'm on this foot because the inside is here, the outside is here, okay? So when I say that if I'm standing on my right foot and I'm going to do an inside turn, in my opinion, I'm turning to the inside of my foot, okay? So that's the direction I'm turning in. If I was going to do an outside turn, I'd be turning to the outside of my foot or where my foot faces outward, okay? So a lot of people get those mixed up and confused, but this is just my simple way of understanding, and it has to do with the foot that you're standing on, okay, and the type of turn that you're doing, all right? So that's what I'm always trying to get everybody to understand. So it's always about the foot that I'm standing on, okay? So anytime that I'm going to do a turn, I want to make sure that I get as balanced as I possibly can. So I've gone over the awareness of your body and feeling yourself going back and forth. Now I'm not doing this with my body, I'm doing this with my center of gravity because I want to make sure that I get my center over the widest part of my foot, which is the strongest part of my foot, the ball of my foot. Okay, so I'm making sure I get there. And if I can just tap my heels without falling forward, then I feel like I've pretty much got this. Like a little test is just to do that, okay? So that's one thing I want to make sure that I'm doing. So the first thing that I've got to make sure that I do is that I step, if I'm doing a turn forward, we're going to step forward. So I step forward over my right foot. Now I want to make sure that I get all the way to the ball of that foot to where I feel balanced. Then I want to make sure that I'm stretched and I'm stacking all my blocks of weight so that I don't have any kind of relaxed action happen here. I want to feel like that I'm stretching. One thing that helped me as I've developed in my dancing is that I've always thinking about putting spaces between my vertebrae, okay? So I'm stretching as tall as I possibly can and I'm thinking about putting that space between my vertebrae. That's what I want to make sure to do. So that's going to make sure that that happens no matter what turn you're doing, an inside, outside, that has to happen. I've got to make sure I stack my blocks. If you have a question about the stacking of your blocks, I have a video on our YouTube channel, okay, talking about the blocks of weight and how we stack those. So I want to make sure that I'm stretching and stacking my blocks of weight. So that is always going to make sure it's going to happen. 1, I take a complete step. 2, I get all the way over the ball of that foot. Then I stretch completely up as much as I can. The next thing that I like to think about when I'm doing a turn, let's say right now we're doing a turn in rumba. Okay, so I'm going to do an inside turn. So I'm going to turn to the inside of my leg in that direction. So I'll be turning to the left as if I'm going to drive a car. But I want to make sure that it happens with my rotation of my hips. So I want to make sure that that initiates the rotation. Then the rest of my body will just show up, okay? So that would be as if I was doing like a walk around turn, a chase turn, change of direction in rumba. So it's used in a lot of those steps. Now, there's a secret to this is that I always have to make sure that I'm always pulling this in, okay? So I want to feel like that I'm putting my belly button against my spinal cord and continue pushing it that way. Another way that I've heard explained that I like to use is that if I put a string on the inside from my back to my belly button area, the center of gravity area right here, my belt buckle, and I started pulling that string that way, that would make sure that everything pulls inward and towards the back, okay? The reason why I want to make sure that that happens is because I want to make sure that I'm still posturally right and I'm forward that way. So I need to think about pulling this here. So as I turn, I continue to pull it. So I end up like this, okay? Because the last thing that I want to do is get this posture, get everything right. Because I've seen people do this, and then they would do this. Now where is my weight? It's back. I'm not balanced. I have to make sure that I use that string or pull that so that I'm completely balanced with that forward poise over the ball of my foot, okay? Postures are straight up and down. Poise is where we're gonna put that posture, okay? So that would be a type of inside of turn, okay? So basically, as if I was going to do a turn in rumba, if I was gonna step forward, here, I get over it, I turn, and then I can walk out of it, okay? That's just one type of turn. Now, there are gonna be some little ways you're gonna manipulate these things when you're dancing it in a certain dance, but right now, this is just a basic way of practicing to make sure you have your balance and make sure that you're maintaining your balance, okay? A lot of time it has to do with the posture, our stacking of our blocks. Am I stretched, okay? So if I was gonna do an outside turn on my right foot, I'm gonna turn in the opposite direction, okay? So, one of the things that I have to do, I have to go through all my steps. One, make sure that I'm completely over the ball of this foot. One, make sure that I'm stretched. Everything is in here, I'm pulled up. I have all these things stacked. Now I'm gonna turn with my hips, but the difference in this one is if I turn, see how I'm gonna knock myself over? So what I have to make sure that I do is I collect that foot underneath me, okay? I collect that foot underneath me so that now I have my feet underneath me when I turn. The reason why I want to make sure that I have my feet underneath me in that type of turn is because I'm turning away and I'm going to push myself off balance, but also I have better balance when I'm doing any kind of swivel or any type of spin when my feet are underneath my body. So I bring that to third position, okay? When I'm doing an inside turn, I can leave it out. It's not going to knock me off balance. It's right there. But if I'm going to turn the opposite direction, I want to collect my foot. I like to think of collecting my foot in third dance position, okay? So basically, I'm bringing the inside edge of my foot, I don't know if you can see it, I'm bringing the inside edge of my foot up against the inside heel. So it's kind of like if I was going to do half and half like that, okay? I'll try to take pictures of this and post it as well. So I have these right here. So it's almost like, but I have the heel up and I'm letting that skim the floor. Now I can do that same action with both legs straight, and then at the end I can relax the knee, okay? So I wanna make sure that I'm here because I wanna make sure that I'm pulled up, all right? But again, I'm rotating and using that hip twist to help create that turn. So those are called inside and outside turns. Now if I did it with the left foot, I'm gonna be going in a different direction. If I step forward on my left foot and I stand nice and tall over my left foot, I want to continue to have that balance nice and strong, that posture, pulling it in, find my width, the widest part of my foot, make sure that I'm on it. I'm using, again, another thing that I'm using is this big toe as almost like a kickstand. So I'm going to start turning from the hips and then kind of keep pulling it back, and then I have this nice, what I call the bow and arrow at the end of it, okay? So that's the end of my turn, okay? I use these in every dance. I have a smooth version and I have a rhythm version that I do, okay? But everything is basically basic, simple thinking. It either is an inside or an outside turn, okay? So what I have to do is I have to make sure that I'm balanced over that foot, over that ball of that foot, and being aware of that balance point. And again, we had that in one of our other lessons on YouTube, is helping you find those balance points over your foot. Now, I can't really have a lot of that balance if I'm more relaxed, like this. I want to stretch as much as I possibly can. And once you get to that point where you feel like that you're stretched as far as you can, you want to try to stretch a little bit further, okay? You can always go further. I say that to my students. As a teacher, one thing that I want is always more. I'm never satisfied, all right? So we want to make sure that we pull up over that foot. Now, if I was going to do an outside turn, with this, I'm going to turn to the outside of my foot. So I'm going to turn away from the camera to there. Okay? And that is your basic foundation of a turns that you want to work on, is inside and outside. But I still have the same steps that I need to do. One, right now, I'm stepping forward over my foot. Okay? You can actually do this stepping side as well, but right now I want you to think about stepping forward over your foot, getting over the ball of that foot, stretching as tall as you possibly can, making sure you feel that balance point, using this big toe as a kickstand, and then pulling this and turning with the hips and pulling this and making sure we're always pulling that in underneath this, okay? So when I'm doing let's say I'm doing cha-cha and I'm doing underarm turn and cha-cha. If I was a lady, I'm doing cha-cha-cha, okay? I'm going to now turn, okay? I'm going to turn about a quarter, but even any amount of turn is an outside turn because I'm turning to the outside of my foot. So I'm going to collect my feet underneath me, then I'm going to step forward, then I'm going to get over that foot nice and tall, which is my left foot. Then I'm going to do an inside turn now to here. Now I'm going to get back over the right foot completely, and then I'm going to do an outside turn to face my partner, and now I can do cha-cha-cha. So a great way to practice this is going back and forth, okay? So you can do it in rumba and cha-cha, either way, it's the same type of turn. So I step, okay? I swivel, collect, that's an outside turn. I step forward, I stretch, I rotate, okay? Now I have an inside turn. Now I'm gonna get over this foot, pull everything up, collect my feet, and then I'm gonna step side. And then I'm gonna do the same thing to the other side. I'm just gonna scoot over so you can see me. I'm going to outside turn, okay? Step forward, inside turn, step forward, outside turn, step side, and do it over here. Outside turn, step forward, inside turn, step forward, outside turn, step side, okay? And so I keep doing that. Outside, forward, inside, forward, outside. And then you notice that this foot comes right by the other foot in third position, like I said. Then I'm gonna move it to the side. Then I'm going to do the outside turn here. I'm gonna step forward, stretch nice and tall. I'm gonna do an inside turn here. I'm gonna step forward, outside turn, and then as I get to this position here, then I can allow that step to go to the side. And then I just keep practicing this. And this is a good little exercise to practice inside and outside turns and keeping your balance. And it's also gonna make you understand where your weight distribution should be over the ball of your foot, okay? So that is just your helpful hint today for your turns. I could go on and on about these turns, but this is your basic form, okay? I will bring up this again, and I will work on what other turns come out of these turns and the technique we must use for that. Okay, right now, I wanted you to understand where your weight is over the foot. What initiates is that bottom block, or my hips, okay, initiates this type of turn. Next lesson, what we're gonna do on turns is talk about the three main parts of a turn that we have to create turn, okay? So, until then, practice this right now. Practice finding your balance point over the ball of your foot. Practice using that big toe as a kickstand. Practice rotating from the hips, okay? So another way you can practice, just getting used to understanding how the hips rotate, hold onto a countertop or a chair and just rotate underneath. You can do that with your legs straight. I can do that with my legs bent, but I want everything to turn at the same time. Then after I get used to that, I get over one foot and I try doing it with just one foot. Then I get over this foot. I just do the twist like we did last summer. Again, it's just getting used to understanding this is stationary while this is moving. All right? Thank you very much. Hope you follow us on our YouTube channel at Zenergy Dance on YouTube. And then you can also find information on our Facebook page, Zenergy Dance Sport, under the Facebook page, and Zenergy Dance Sport, the YouTube channel. Subscribe, like, share, and can't wait to be back in the studio so I can dance with you in person. Have a great one, and keep dance alive.